The content of the presentation is related to the aim of the study. A few words about the financial system, the structure and indicators in Albania, the methodology that we have used for this study, result, and some discussions. This study aims at exploring the potential of financial sector innovation as an instrument to boost economic development in Albania. We have tried to explore 2 points of view, the supply point of view and the demand point of view. And to say it in simple words, we have explored the point of view of banks and bank customers. What about the financial system in Albania? Retail payments market in Albania is dominated by commercial banks, which hold about 19.8% of total system assets. We have 12 banks. 11 banks offer home banking and 12 of them offer card issuing, 9 banks card acquiring. 10% of total accounts access our e-banking services. They offer POS, ATM, and credit and debit cards and other cards. We have 4 e-money institutions and 9 money transfer organizations. In year 2020, for the first time, card payments were the most common used instrument of payment. We have a very low penetration of POS concentrated in urban areas. We have high interchange fees for merchants. E-commerce is at infant phase. More than 50% of the family income is spent in consumption goods. Thus, it leads to a very high potential of this category. A large number of micro and small enterprises in the Albanian economy. Financial inclusion is assessed as low, and we stand behind the region, the Western Balkan region. Only 20% of the adult population has an account based on the data from Fintech 2017. We have grown up from year to year, but the average still lags behind the rest of the countries in the region. The methodology we have used to explore the perception of both demand and supply is a questionnaire-based survey. We have used a modified version of the consumers and mobile financial services of the Federal Reserve submitted to bank customers, while for banks we have used the customized 10 open questions questionnaire aimed at bank representatives prepared ad hoc for the study. The method, we couldn't make a probabilistic sample in this case, so we used a snowball sampling technique for customers through a network of contacts, including employees in banks, so that we could get the current bank clients, universities, young age clients and potential new clients, and elderly people. In turn, they also were asked to identify potential respondents to fill the questionnaire. While for the strategies or the supply side of this study, we have sent the questionnaire to the whole population. We did not draw a sample. We sent it to all banks, and to the Bank of Albania to see the point of view of the regulator. I would like to go to the results. We had a very good response rate for customers, 92%. We sent out 400 questionnaires almost, and we got back about 368 ones. While for the strategies, we have a relatively low response rate of 41.2%. Only 7 out of 16 banks replied to the questionnaire. In order to test for the internal consistency and reliability of the results, we have used the Cromba Alpha results, which I'd say are pretty good, with exception to the question 32 and 33, which is at 0.73. While for the other question we have tested, the results are very good, which means that the responses we have got present very good quality related to the subject we aim to explore. The first section of the questionnaire was dedicated to the socioeconomic profile of the respondents. Actually, we have a very balanced sample, let's say. We have 51.6% of respondents were females and 48.4% were males, which is almost the same division we have in our population. The sample presents it's relatively of a young age, but also a small share of presentation of the 51 and over are presented in the respondents. The education level is pretty high. We have 51% of the respondents which hold a university degree and 39.9% of the respondents holding a master or a PhD. While there is 9.1% of respondents who have completed only high school education. Regarding the income level, it's a little bit difficult as a question, but we have got good responses. We have, yes. We have 45.2% represented by high income level of respondents and 42% by middle income level of respondents. We'll try to break the results based on age, education, and income level to see whether between these categories there are differences in the perception of the questions that we have been using. The second section of the questionnaire was related about the information and use of traditional retail banking products. And here we refer to bank account and deposits, debit cards and credit cards. For debit and bank account deposit, we can say that Albanian customers are pretty aware and make use of them, while for credit cards, we have only 57% of the respondents that hold one. We have 60% of respondents not having a bank account or a deposit. About 73% of them have had previously a bank account or deposit, but it's only currently that they do not have one. About 25% of the respondents do not have a bank account or deposit. Affirm that among the critical reasons why they do not hold one is that the minimum balance required is high, 27.6%. Services commissions are high, and they do not prefer to have to do with banks. There is a 10.3% of respondents which assesses that they do not have confidence in banks. This is a very important point that will come out also in the other sections of the questionnaire. On the question, which were the most used bank products over the last 12 months, the respondents suggested that the debit card was the mostly used instrument. The credit card was the second, and the prepaid card, online loan application, cash withdrawal, and other services were quite pretty low. Here we have a number of times the alternative has been selected to the total. If we break the ownership of these financial products by age categories, we can see that both accounts and deposits, debit cards and credit cards have a very good distribution among the over 50 years old, while for those over 50 years old, this percentage is quite low. The same is valid when we go and break down the result on the ownership of this financial product based on education attainment. The higher the education attainment, the more positive the responses about the financial product ownership. Those holding a post-university and university degree are more prone to such kind of products, while those with low educational attainment, such as high school, do not own financial products. 90% of respondents have access to a mobile phone, and 90% of them, for 90% of them, the mobile phone is a smartphone. The ownership of a mobile phone and a smartphone are widespread among the age categories between 18 and 30 years old and 31 to 40 years old, more than 90% respectively. On the contrary, mobile phones and smartphones are less common for the category of respondents over 50 years old. The ownership of a mobile phone and a smartphone is positively related to the educational attainment of the respondents, employment, and income. This is a common result that can be found also in the international literature. About the use of the mobile internet by location, we have 93% of respondents had regular access to to the internet, and 42% of them from home, 34% from the workspace, workplace, and while there are some people that use also public Wi-Fi in bar, internet cafes, etc. For about 94% of respondents, mobile phone internet has been used for at least the last 5 days, while there is a 2% of respondents that have never made use of mobile internet. The mobile bank transactions used over the last 12 months were the balance check, the account-to-account money transfer, utility payment, and less frequently the customer services, deposit money, loan or credit application, and others. About 83% of the respondents do not own any prepaid cards, despite being very agile and very secure in their use. There's a low use of this instrument in the case of Albania. About 56% of the respondents affirm to have used online banking on a computer or other device over the last 12 months, and they have used mostly for balance check, money transfer, and utilities payments. There is also another question regarding the future use of mobile banking. Mobile banking has been used by about 50% of the respondents over the last 12 months, and 49% of them have not made use of it during the last 12 months. Among those that reported not having used mobile banking over the last 12 months, about 75% think that they can use it in the future, while we have 14.2% of respondents that are almost sure that will not make use of such a facility in the future. Over the last 12 months, the most performed services via mobile phone were the balance and transaction performed checking, download of the mobile application, receipt of an SMS from the bank, and other services. In general, we have a good satisfaction rate with mobile banking and mobile payments. We have a positive net balance in both cases of 32.7% and 33.1% respectively, which means that the customers are quite satisfied with the services provided by the banking system. While for those that express some unsatisfaction with the service, there are some reasons which drive such unsatisfaction, and among them, the mostly cited by the respondents is the concern about the personal information being exposed while using mobile phone. And regarding this concern, they are very worried about hackers gaining access in their mobile phone, people tracking their data and phone calls, somebody stealing my mobile and losing the mobile, getting viruses to my mobile phone. Actually, all the risks perceived by the customers regarding mobile phone payments and mobile phone services are mostly related to the internet security issues. Also, the respondents were asked if the concerns affirmed from the non-users of mobile banking were addressed and risk mitigated properly. Activities performed through mobile phone, which would be what activities would they perform with mobile phones? In this case, the most selected alternative was downloading the mobile banking application, balance check, and utility payment. It seems that in all questions we have a general attitude or approach to using the utility payment through the online website or banking. Personal data protection is perceived as secure by respondents. The net balance is positive, but is lower when compared to the satisfaction rate with the service. About 61% of the respondents perceive personal data protection as secure, but we have 80.9% of respondents affirming that being insecure with regards to personal data protection. Respondents were suggested a list of potential activities or services that could be made available through mobile phones and asked whether they should make use of them. About 40% of the respondents would use a mobile phone to daily check their account balance or check their finances on a daily basis. The alternative has been selected 16.7% of total times. The alternative has been selected. Then we have about 70% of respondents who would use the mobile phone to make purchases in the POS, the most selected alternative. And the third one is related to make price comparisons at purchase time. Some questions were related to the contactless payments, which is currently in use in the country and also from some of the banks operating in the system. We have a 12% of respondents that make use of contactless payments, and 40% do not make use of it. If contactless payments would, respondents also suggested that if contactless payments would be, if they see it as a major form of payment during the next 5 years, we have a very positive view regarding this question. Most likely, it's possible, represented more than 60% of the responses that we have got, which is very encouraging for the banking system. Another section in the questionnaire was related to the shopping behavior of the respondents. Here we have asked some questions regarding shopping behavior online. The use of the mobile phones to make online shopping is affirmed in about 53.5% of the respondents in the survey. On the contrary, we have 46.5% affirming not making use of online shopping. This 46.5% of respondents belongs to the age group above 50 years old. In the case of big purchases, 67% of respondents affirm making price comparisons online, and 64% of them look at the customer's review. Despite being relatively new, a novelty in the case of Albania, 80% of the respondents affirm having used the QR code, barcode scanning app to make price comparisons in order to find the best price related to a product. The impact of reviews in shopping behavior is relatively high. We have a 57.2% of the respondents affirming that have used their mobile phone to see whether others' opinion or reviews on a product or service while being at a retail store. And 58% of them have changed their mind in their final decision. Also, before completing a purchase, about half of the respondents have checked their account balance for funds availability. The promotions are another topic that has been explored through the questionnaire, and 30% of the respondents of the survey affirm to have signed to receive coupons or special offers by email from retail stores over the last 12 months. And about 31% of them affirm having purchased as a result of these coupons. Furthermore, we have 40% of respondents that have signed to receive coupons and offers from the website, and 33.8% of them have benefited from this promotion. Let's say that there is some attitude to online promoting activity which results in increased purchases online from the customers. Now we see the second group of people who has been subject to this survey, which is strategist perception on retail banking products. We have, as specified above, we send the questionnaire to the banks here in Albania. All the respondents held positions of head of department or managerial level. 50% of the respondents were women and 32 were men. All are relatively young, ranging from 32 to 45 years old, and 75% of them hold a university degree or a master degree. There were three main sections that were investigated through this questionnaire. Well, the first one was related to was related to the perceived challenges in the banking industry. And here the bank respondents suggested that the investment in technology and data security breaching are two key issues. Cost efficiency through automation and increased quality of services provided. The financial situation of the bank was going through, and the current level of non-performing loans, competition in the banking sector, and difficulties in the introduction of new products and embracement from the customer. Low financial inclusion and culture, low digitalization level and high informality, shortcomings in the regulatory framework, and low trust in the governmental support were among the perceived challenges in the banking industry. In the second section, we asked about the factors which hinder the advancement of digital solution and innovation in the Albanian banking sector. And here we got very interesting responses, like Albania is a very small market with a high level of underdeveloped rural areas and with a marginal development of information technology infrastructure. This large investment, lack of profitability, we have no economies of scale, and high costs for the end user. In particular, investments in innovative technologies are low and advance in small tranches as affirmed by 25% of the respondents. The size of the bank and the size of the Albanian market is a key determinant in investment level. We have 75% of the respondents affirming that their investments are mostly oriented in protecting and potentially increase their market share and customer base, since the evolving context and conditions are posing very difficult challenges for the bank. In general, the financial culture is assessed as weak, and innovation is a concept that is understood very differently from different operators in the banking system. Insufficient marketing and no segmentation of customers is applied. We have received shortcomings in the regulatory framework and no governmental support for the introduction and use of innovative banking products, despite the fact that there has been in 2020 approved a new law for the support of fintechs. And the last challenge, or the last factor that hinders advancement of digital solution, is the high degree of informal economy that characterizes Albania. We talk here about 40 to 50% of the economy being informal based on the recent studies. While on the performance on innovation of banks, the responses were quite surprising. Actually, Albanian banks tend to be followers and not leaders in innovation. They try to adapt solutions that have been proved to be successful from big banks and especially internationally, and then adapt them to the local context. But they do not aim to be champions of innovators. So there are few resources dedicated to this dimension. Obviously, is a dimension related also to the bank size. We have few banks, big banks, and most of the banks in the system are quite small. Some of the discussions are related to the poor financial literacy, which has been evidenced in the few literature we could find on the topic related to Albania. Financial illiteracy might be a determining factor on the current use of bank products and attitude towards innovative ones. While bank accounts and deposits and debit cards are more or less known and used by Albanian customers, credit cards still face resistance. Furthermore, penetration of mobile banking services, mobile payment, contactless payment is still low, and not because we are resistant to these products, but because the risks perceived from these products are still high. There is still a lack of confidence and trust in financial sector. This is a problem that has been raised also previously in previous studies as a problem of credibility of some segments of the financial system. That can be also a result of asymmetric information between the banks and customers, with banks holding an advantage position as compared to customers. Increasing the degree of information made available to customers maybe could help and trigger the demand for innovation and innovative products from the banking sector. More or less, especially in the case of Albania, the innovation has become a buzzword, fashionable for social media, but really banks' attitude towards product innovation is discouraging, independently from the gender perspective of respondents. Also surprising was the fact that strategists has had different views on what innovation means in the banking system. There are still some segments unexploited in the market which could be profitable, and the first movers here in Albania could harvest these benefits. So in presence of low financial literacy and culture, lack of confidence, trust in the financial sector and institutions, low level of investment and lack of willingness to innovate, also due to the lack of competition, banks operating in defense position, keeping their market shares and profitability rates. And based on the findings we had from the customers and strategies survey, we would recommend to the regulatory authorities, first, the regulation support of fintech's access to the payment market, which would lead to financial inclusion and substitution of cash-based transactions with electronic ones, thus contributing to the formalization of the economy. The regulatory entities might introduce key indicators to monitor innovation, development, and make comparative analysis between licensed subjects that offer payment services in the market, contributing thus to increased transparency and competition in the sectors. And another set of recommendations would go to the market players. They should dedicate more resources in improving financial literacy and financial inclusion, and participate proactively in ongoing national policy-driven engagement on financial education, invest in customer protection, information, and transparency, invest in modernization of payment systems to facilitate and allow cost efficiency of transactions, design and adapt payment services products that are customer-centric, target several needs, and enhance customer experience, focusing in informing, mitigating security issues, as well as raise awareness and safety on innovative banking products. That was all from me, Eneida and Ledia, which are following us online. We are open to questions. If